Did you try to wipe the whole server?
I'm not, I have no idea. That's why we turned it over.
You were in charge of it. You were the official in charge. Did you wipe the server?
What, like with a cloth or something?
I don't know. You know how it works digitally. Did you try to wipe the whole server?
I don't know how it works digitally at all.
I don't know. She doesn't know. It's called bleach bit. And just don't say she's bleaching it, because that'd be so wrong. You'd become the laughingstock. It's called bleach bit. And they destroyed tens of thousands of emails. Coming in handy now, all these years later. No, all those emails were just about Chelsea's wedding. Was Jeffrey Epstein invited to Chelsea's wedding, or just Ghislaine Maxwell? There must be some kind of way out of here. Said the Joker to the thief. Those lyrics fit pretty well with the Clinton family, don't they? A very good Friday, and welcome back once again. We are at 888-630-9625. Hillary Diane Rodham Clinton allegedly testifying behind closed doors, not in public, but it was videotaped and transcripts made available. And she's a big fat liar, of course. And Bill Clinton is scheduled to lie today. I think Hillary Clinton was there for about 6 hours, though they stopped it at one point because one Republican member of Congress shot a photograph with her phone. And you're not allowed to do that, so that brought everything to a screeching halt. But never mind that. It's all Jeffrey Epstein all the time. Jeffrey Epstein, a lifelong Democrat Party fundraiser, a friend of Bill Clinton. Jeffrey Epstein went to Bill Clinton's White House, 16 times while he was president for 8 years. And then Bill Clinton started using Jeffrey Epstein's private airplane as though it was his own private airplane. Kind of interesting, huh? And Hillary Clinton last night, yesterday, I never met the guy. I never met James Comey. I never kissed James Comey, she said. I never met James Comey. And destroyed 33,000 emails because they were just emails about yoga class and about Chelsea Clinton's wedding, where there are photographs showing Ghislaine Maxwell, the pimp for Jeffrey Epstein's operation, at the Chelsea Clinton wedding. And Hillary Clinton made up a lie about that yesterday, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that coming up. You know, we had all kinds of the Alan Dershowitz and caught up in the Epstein thing. The law professor emeritus at the Harvard University had Larry Summers, the Treasury Secretary, Democrat, and then Harvard president, and now he's gone from Harvard because of Jeffrey Epstein. A math professor at Harvard, we learned yesterday, was put on leave and probably will be terminated over the weekend because of Jeffrey Epstein. We've got Democrats falling out of trees all over the country. Barack Obama's White House counsel, who went on to Wall Street, a big Wall Street job, Goldman Sachs, and she had to resign about a week ago from Goldman Sachs because of her ties to Jeffrey Epstein. I don't think she was one of the teenagers, but they're all caught up in this thing because it was a Democrat cabal, and they say, Donald Trump, mentioned thousands of times, and they I think they just Googled Trump on the Google machine and found him in New York Times articles or something. And one of the things I want to get into today is they're spying on everybody. The Democrats have been spying on all of us for years. They've been using the FBI, abusing the FBI like a third world banana republic gang of communists to spy on. It turns out now FBI Director Kash Patel, now White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, the Biden FBI getting phony baloney subpoenas to spy on them and look at let's get all their phone records. And apparently at least one phone call. Susie Wiles of the Trump campaign, listening to her phone calls while she's talking to her lawyer. And all of this is considered to be normal. You know, it reminds me of Senator Ron Wyden several years ago now, with Democrat DNI, Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, being asked whether the U.S. intelligence apparatus is spying on all of us. And the answer was yes, but he lied under oath and said no. and then he lied under oath and said, not wittingly, you may remember. But I want to get to that in a couple of minutes because there's a collection of Democrats spying on all of us, abusing the hell out of their power, their government power. And I want to get to that. And I get to Hillary Clinton because she explains why Ghislaine Maxwell was at the Clinton wedding, the Chelsea Clinton wedding. And it's a lie. It's undoubtedly a lie. Before we get into all of that good stuff, let's go back to the telephones. Let's go to Tim calling from Crownsville, Maryland. Timothy, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for taking my call.
You betcha.
Great show.
Thanks.
I've been listening for 10 years, and your comedy makes my day go by every day.
Thank you. That makes me very happy.
Absolutely. It makes me happy, too. I mean, it really does. What I'm calling is that there can't be a person in America that believes that if President Trump was in Epstein, anything incriminating was against President Trump in the Epstein files, that the Biden administration would not have released it under their 4 years to help stop him from being president.
Absolutely correct. They had the documents, and they have that search function on their computers, and they can search for Trump's name and the files, and they can hire a bunch of Chinese communist minions that are called Democrats on college campuses. Everybody comb through this. They could hire 1 million people, which the Democrats love to do, and go through the millions of pages of documents and show me where Trump is the bad guy here, and we'll give that to the New York Times and CNN, and then we'll hold a press conference on Capitol Hill. But somehow, Tim, that didn't happen for years while the Democrats possessed all of the Epstein documents. And now the Trump administration, and they didn't release a single page of the Epstein documents, and the Democrats didn't pound the table and say, release the Epstein documents till Trump came along. And then they started making stuff up all over the place, Tim, and putting out this photo off of Capitol Hill, President Trump with the 6 Tropicana girls at Mar-a-Lago. And they then they redacted their faces, put black boxes over their faces, the Democrats did, to make it look sinister, to make it look incriminating. And it turns out that picture had been on social media all over the place because the young women posted the photo because it was fun meeting Trump at Mar-a-Lago. They said he was a perfect gentleman. It was wonderful. It had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. But the Democrat Party, they have these deceptions. They love that word. These fakes. And they're very comfortable making stuff up and lying, Tim.
Distraction. It's all distraction.
Right.
They want to distract from the hundreds of billions of tax dollars they've stolen from us over the last 20 years under Obama and Biden. I mean, and nobody believes Biden won in 2020. We all know Biden. We all know they stole it in 2020. They have to pass the SAVE Act to save America. I mean, SAVE Act is to save America, right? And that's the SAVE Act, the Voting Act. I mean, if we don't have voter ID, if like you constantly say, we don't have faith in our elections, then we live in a third world country. And it's disgusting how the Democrats can stand up and lie, tell you how they can say anything they want and nothing ever happens. They all know it's lies. He knows it's lies. It's disgusting how he's allowed to do it. And the left-wing media, thank God for you. I mean, truly.
Well,
thank you, Chris. Great show.
That's what I say every day, too, Tim, is thank God for me. Where would we all be without me? That's what I say. My best girl says that every day, too. I come home and she says, thank God for you. And I say, yes, you're right. Let's have lunch. I kid, of course. Tim, a great call. You still there, buddy? You dropped off.
I'm here.
Oh, you're there. Okay, yeah.
I'm here.
I know you were talking to Jeff when you called in. Jeff is screening calls today, and said your family has been here. You have American tradition in your family and in your bloodstream. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Almost 300 years. We came here. We left Germany in May of 1729 and arrived in Philadelphia in September. 6 months on a ship. September 1729. Imagine that. We're probably lucky we even arrived. Thinking about back in the day how a lot of ships didn't make it.
Yeah.
Almost and my family fought in the Revolutionary War. Eric Getzendanner is my descendant's name that fought in the Revolutionary War. He's buried in Frederick, Maryland. I'm an 11th generation Marylander. My children are the 12th generation born in the state of Maryland.
Wow. I'd say we got a couple of Maryland stories today. I hope to be able to get to those Maryland stories because they're spying. That's part of the spying on everybody Our government is spying on everybody. The Democrats in the government are spying on everybody. And, Tim, we've got to save this project called the United States of America.
Absolutely. I'm right here looking at General's Highway, the road that George Washington walked down to resign his commission in Annapolis so he could become president of the United States. General's Highway. And I'm sitting here looking at the road right now as we speak.
Wow.
You know, I love history. I'm so about history because I'm so passionate, because I love our country, and the Democrats hate our country. Anybody who votes Democrat is sick, and they hate America. That's all there is to it. They hate America.
Yeah.
There's no other definition. I don't understand how you can define a Democrat except they hate America.
Yeah, they've been indoctrinated and brainwashed and convinced that we are somehow terrible. And you know, Haiti is a great place. With what's your favorite cannibal in Haiti? You know, the Clintons fixed Haiti. Yeah. Do you have a favorite cannibal? Yeah, barbecue. He knows barbecue. It's barbecue. That's great. Yeah, barbecue is the number one gang member, gang leader, cannibal in Haiti, and that's because the Clintons went in and they fixed Haiti, and we've thrown billions and billions and billions at Haiti, and now when they escape the hellhole and come here, the Democrats say that they're refugees from like a Clinton-created beep hole. Aren't they amazing?
Well, what was the estimate I just saw the other day that the Democrats' Green New Deal has cost Americans $15 trillion?
I didn't see that. I'm going to go look for that.
Yeah,
I tell you,
that's what I saw.
There's another one story out today out of California, that Gavin Newsom's California. They have these solar projects there, and it turns out the Democrats have stolen about, $900 million from the solar panel project to fund Democrat Party projects, political projects, get out the vote projects. And the money was funded in California for solar panel projects, and they've apparently stolen $900 million and funneled the money to Democrat Party pet projects that have nothing to do with solar panels, everything to do with Democrats stealing power in California.
Well, I imagine that's what they've done here in mini California, Maryland. I mean, I call it mini California. I mean, it's basically, the Democrats are destroying Maryland. The problem is we live right here where the government is. You got all the left-wing people who work in the government. You know, I don't believe they won the election. I don't believe Moore won the election last time. I don't. The only place I saw more signs was one road up in Baltimore County. There were Gamecock signs everywhere.
Uh-huh.
I do not believe they won the governor election legitimately, and that's why we need the SAVE Act to save America. Yeah. Period.
And the Democrats are hell bent. They will go to the ramparts. They will wage jihad to make sure that you don't have to show an ID, because they're such a racist lynch mob that they say that black people aren't smart enough to get a photo ID, and women, women got married and they'll never be able to vote again because they got married. It's low IQ theater. It's the soft bigotry of low expectations being applied to black people and Latinx, as they call Latin Americans, and now women are now subjected to the Democrat Party's low expectations as well, the soft bigotry of low expectations against black people, Latinos, women, because they couldn't possibly figure out how to vote if those mean people require an ID to vote, like they do in South Africa, like they do in Somalia and Brazil.
3/5 of a person.
Say again?
3/5 of a person. Keep pointing that out. 3/5 of a person.
Yeah.
Black people take 5 to equal 3, right? I mean, that was the Democrats.
Yeah, that was the Democrats, and now they want illegal aliens to be 3/5 of a person, too. They're amazing. Tim, thanks for the call. Great call. And it's true, how did Joe Biden get more votes than any president in U.S. history? And Donald Trump got more votes than any Republican candidate in history, and suddenly Joe Biden had millions more votes than Hillary Clinton, millions more votes than Barack Obama. So the racist, sexist Democrats came out and voted for Joe Biden that wouldn't vote for Hillary and Barack. All right, I still haven't gotten to Hillary, but I'm going to in a minute. And I think I've figured out who the plus one was that brought Ghislaine Maxwell to Chelsea Clinton's glorious wedding. The daughter of Webb Hubble and Hillary Clinton. Chelsea Clinton. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Rod, calling from Fort Smith, Arkansas. Rod, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Yes, sir. I was listening to your puzzlement about the 2020 election, and Joe Biden got more votes than anybody in the history of the presidency. Donald Trump got more votes than any Republican ever. I watched this election very intently, and I noticed a slight deformity in the election. Seems there were like 14 million more votes cast than were registered voters. That's a problem.
Huh.
You have more voters than you have registered voters. That's a malfunction, right? And I noticed they airbrushed it over like less than a week later.
That would be quite anomalous. That would be an anomaly that you'd think the New York Times and CNN would pay attention to, Rod. But I don't know. I'm going to have to go look at that. I know that Joe Biden broke the record for all time in the United States. And I know that President Trump got more votes when he lost, more votes than any Republican president ever. And why is it that the Democrats came out and voted for Joe Biden in ways that they wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton and wouldn't vote for Barack Obama? How do we explain that, Rod?
Misogyny.
Racism.
I mean, you're talking about the historical founders of misogyny. I mean, they wouldn't let them vote. Women vote.
That's right.
Until they finally had a bill. And, I mean, these people that's what they are. I mean, they're racist. They're misogynistic. They loathe everybody else. And I don't trust anybody with a hyphenated name, to be honest.
Yeah.
And especially when you got two hyphenations, like Hillary, Diane Rodham Clinton, whatever.
Yeah, too many syllables. This is Western civilization. Just have a normal name. Yeah. My name is Chris Plant. I've got two syllables. Two syllables I have. I like that.
My whole name is like 7 letters. So, I'm pretty basic.
Yeah. So you're not. I got to tell you. I mean, Tim is talking about it, and we're living in a country where we've lost faith. There has been a great loss of faith in our system of government. And let me say this, Rod. The left likes this. They like that there's a collapse in faith in the system because they want to destroy the system, root it out, and replace it with something authoritarian. But they want to see a collapse in faith. That's why they create the collapse in faith in our system, in our institutions, because the way they see it, well, our faith in our nation is collapsing at the same time. This is part of the left's long-term plan to destroy the United States of America and the Bill of Rights and capitalism. These people are the left, and they're out to get us. All right, let's take one more quick phone call. A lot of great-looking calls on the line, but let me go to one quick phone call. Then I want to get to Hillary Clinton yesterday lying to all of us, which she has a long history of doing. Let's go to Will. Now we're talking about the SAVE Act, among other things. IDs to vote in the United States of America, and the Democrats say no, it's racist, which is the most racist thing any Klansman could say, but every Democrat will say it. Let's go to Will calling from Washington, D.C., which is our nation's capital. Will, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Oh, hi, Chris. You mentioned Brazil, and I just wanted to say that I lived there for a long time, and if you want to vote in Brazil, you have to vote,
right? And
you have to register to vote. And if you don't register to vote, you have to pay a fine. And if you don't vote, you have to pay a fine.
Uh-huh.
So, this is what happens to you if you don't vote, and they note that, your voter registration has been canceled. You can't get another government ID. You won't get your salary if you're a government worker. You won't be able to apply for a government job. You can't renew your, registration if you're in a public school or a college.
Mm-hmm.
You can't pay your income tax. You can't be a candidate for office. And you can't get another voter registration card, and you have to pay $1. For us, it would be $10 to renew it. But you have to. Oh, and if you're a Brazilian and if you live here, my wife does this. You have to register to vote. If not, you have to go down to the embassy and pay a fine.
Right.
So, and it's every election. So
right.
They have like 2 or 3 elections a year.
Right.
So if you miss 3 elections in a row, you get it canceled and you have to go down and redo the card. So they're very rigid about it. And it's a joke that we have no voter ID here. It's pathetic.
It is. It is. We Will. I saw you on the big board there, and I thought we've got a friend who's Brazilian, and he lives here in D.C. and in Florida part of the time, and obviously his family's Brazilian and everything. But when he's here, we've been here with him. When it's like, oh, it's election day in Brazil, so he's got to leave, and the Brazilian embassy sets up a voting place, a polling place in Washington D.C. Will. When they have elections in Brazil. And Luis has to go down, and they had it at like the Capitol Hilton on 16th Street one time. And he's got to go down, even though he lives in the United States full time, but he's a Brazilian citizen, and it is the law that he vote, even if he lives outside the country.
Yeah. My wife has to do the same thing, and but their media is just copies everything our big media says. That's a problem around the world. All they know about America is like a distilled fake version of the New York Times, CNN garbage.
Yep.
So they think the police are ripping people up the streets, and we have no doctors, and
right.
But they also think it's funny that our elections are so bad, it takes like 3 days to count the votes.
Yep. So, in California, the Democrats have taken weeks for House votes because they're counting and counting until they're one vote ahead, and then they stop.
Well, that's not a problem in Washington because we know who wins because it's 95% Democrats.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, in California, they take weeks to figure out the vote in House races sometimes, too. But that is great. You see your Brazilian wife, so your beautiful, wonderful Brazilian wife. Because all Brazilian women are beautiful. And the voting in Brazil is the strictest I've ever heard of. And I saw you on the big board. I said, Will wants to talk about Brazil. I love talking about elections in Brazil because it's almost mind-boggling to an American. You're overseas. If you're an American, you're overseas. You can get an absentee ballot and you can, mail in your ballot. But you're not punished if you don't. No. It's not required.
They have all the Democrats' wet dream of campaign finance laws, and you can't electioneer. You can't even advertise your candidacy until 3 months before the election, and the signs can't be bigger than 1 meter by 1 meter, and they have all these restrictions. Of course, it only helps the incumbents, just like here. They get public financing for all these stupid little parties with 15 people in them. It's a mess, but that's another aspect of their system, which the Democrats would love to have.
Yeah. It's the third worlding of America. The Democrats are making a lot of progress. Yes,
it's true. That's true. It reminds me of Brazil more every day, even on the financial, even with the deficit and so on.
Yeah.
Well, nice to talk to you, Chris. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Thank you, Will. That was great. And that's, people need to know what the standards are around the world. In France, they have election day, 1 day, none of this election season, month, 90 days, early voting, all this ridiculous. Early voting starts today for November or whatever. And this is how you make elections a joke. And it's the left, the Democrat Party, doing it everywhere in America, making our elections a joke. Good stuff, Will. Yeah, people need to know this. And literally just, I guess a couple of months ago, in Somalia, they made voter ID mandatory. Years ago in South Africa, Nelson Mandela campaigned on voter ID, in favor of voter ID, to make South Africa a voter ID country, and they are now. Again, in Brazil, if you're a Brazilian citizen, you live in the United States, you live in Maryland, and it's election day in Brazil, you must find the polling place set up by your embassy. You must go there and vote. And in France, election day, you show up in person at a polling place. It's 1 day. It's your neighborhood polling place. You show your ID. They give you a paper ballot. You vote on the paper ballot. You put it in the paper ballot box. It's usually a lucite box you can see through in France. And then we close at 7. And they close at 7, and they come and get the ballots, and they count them. And by 10 o'clock, the whole country knows who won all the elections. In the United States, the lefties, but they don't have any of this mail-in ballot stuff because France banned mail-in ballots, I think, in the 1970s because they found so much fraud going on with paper ballots. The Jimmy Carter, James A. Baker III Commission, created to look at voter fraud. That their number one conclusion was pretty much no mail-in ballots because that's where corruption happens. All right, now, but the Democrats want to do everything that's corrupt. Ballot harvesting, mail-out ballots. It's not just mail-in. They mail out ballots to everybody in the world. They give driver's licenses to people that are not citizens, and in 14 states automatically register them to vote when they get driver's licenses, even if they're not citizens. The Democrats don't do that by accident. They're complete crooks, is the thing. Some of them even don't believe that they're crooks, but that's low IQ theater. All right, now, thank you, Will. Let's get to Hillary Clinton. Let's go to gosh, we did one and one. Number two, Hillary Clinton on the photo leak, because this was kind of an unforced error. It was a gaffe that should not have been perpetrated. But Hillary Clinton, there was a Republican member of the House. Yeah, Congresswoman Boebert was in a member of the committee hearing at the Chappaqua Performing Arts Center. And the rules are quite strict. It's like a courtroom and where there's a deposition like a grand jury. And it's very explicit. You don't make videos, you don't take photos, you don't record audio. And Lauren Boebert decided, I'm going to take a picture of Hillary Clinton in the middle of the hearing, and I'm going to text it out to the media. And I've got to say that was an unintelligent thing to do. It just created a talking point for the left that makes Republicans look bad and look stupid and look like the rules don't apply to you. And naturally, the Democrats, now they've got a talking point, so they can go out and attack, which is what they love to do. Change the subject and attack Hillary Clinton yesterday.
We had a bit of a challenge in the beginning because we had agreed upon rules based on the fact it was going to be a closed hearing at their demand. And one of the members violated that rule, which was very upsetting because it suggested that they might violate other of our agreements.
Yeah, maybe they'd delete 33,000 emails using BleachBit and lie about everything until they violate rules. Yeah, because the photo is completely meaningless, of course, except it was a pointless violation of rules. And if you're going to photograph it, it's obvious that it comes from her. Everybody knows where she's sitting, and you know it's an explicit violation of what you had agreed to going into the room, and you just give Hillary a talking point, and the Democrats, and they sent one of their minions out to go yell at the cameras, and this is a violation of it, but it was, who cares about the photo? It just gave the idiot Democrats a talking point. Here's Hillary Clinton. This is. Hey, Ghislaine Maxwell, it was finally asked, was invited to your daughter Chelsea Clinton's wedding to the son of that crooked congressional family that Jake Tapper worked for. But never mind that. Hillary Clinton, Ghislaine Maxwell, me at my daughter's wedding? What?
I knew Ghislaine Maxwell casually as an acquaintance, but whatever they asked me, I did my very best to respond.
Yeah, I knew her very casually as an acquaintance, but whatever they asked me, then changed the subject again. But back to the talking. Whatever they asked me, I answered all the questions. And then a reporter said, "No, wait, but it's casually as an acquaintance," and said, we'll get back to the wedding. So a reporter said, "Hey, you 100% sure that, your husband, Bill, he's a famous sexual skeezer, a sleazebag. And obviously he spent an awful lot of time with Jeffrey Epstein, and you guys had Ghislaine Maxwell at your daughter's wedding and all that stuff. Nothing to see here?"
Are you 100% confident that there isn't anything that the former president knows about Epstein's crimes?
I am, and I think the chronology of the connection that he had with Epstein ended several years before anything about Epstein's criminal activities came to light.
Unlike, if true, and doubtless false, because they love false. Are you confident, got nothing to do with Bill? Really, then why did he fly on Epstein's jet after leaving the White House so many times? Why did Epstein visit the White House, 16 times during the 8 years? That'd be twice a year. Am I doing my gazintas correctly? The math there is. And then a reporter said, well, hang on. And also notice she fake mispronounced Epstein. It's Epstein. I don't even know how to pronounce it. And Ghislaine, she's trying to deliberately mispronounce. I don't know. I don't even know how to pronounce their names. She's that pathological. She's that much of a psychopath. But another reporter asked, why was Jeffrey Epstein's pimp and supplier at your daughter's wedding?
Can I ask, why was Colin Maxwell invited to the daughter Chelsea Clinton's wedding in 2010? She'd already been mentioned in a civil lawsuit by Virginia Giuffre before that. Jeffrey Epstein already been.
She came as the +1, the guest of someone who was invited.
+1.
Thank you all.
That's it. Then she walks away. Oh, she came as a +1, somebody who was invited, implying that she wasn't invited, but she came as a +1 with someone who was invited. And it turns out, you know whose +1 she was? Bill Clinton's. That's kind of weird, isn't it? He brought a date to his daughter's wedding, and it was Ghislaine Maxwell. That's kind of freaky. And then they disappeared after the first dance with the father and the bride, and they were never seen again for the rest of the wedding. I made that part up. She's not really the +1 for Bill Clinton. But nobody asked, was she +1 to Jeffrey Epstein? Because she might naturally be his +1. The +1. Yeah, sure. Now, here's the thing that news reporters are claiming that they now know, even though Hillary destroyed 33,000 emails having just to do with her daughter's wedding and her yoga classes. The 33,000 emails, it's a lot of emails about it. Must have been a really huge wedding. But it wasn't. It was kind of a small wedding. But it's being reported now that the Maxwell attended as the date of her then boyfriend. Listen to this now. Billionaire Ted Waite. Why is Ghislaine? Well, of course, she lives in billionaire world, so she's got a boyfriend, and it's going to be a billionaire. Why not? So this is what is being reported now, that Ghislaine Maxwell attended the Chelsea Clinton wedding with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton as the date of her then boyfriend, billionaire Ted Waite. Ted Waite, founder of Gateway Inc., who was a major donor to the Clinton Foundation. Oh, by the way, as was Jeffrey Epstein, a huge donor to the Clinton Foundation, and described as a very close friend of Bill Clinton. Billionaire Ted Waite. There are so many billionaires out there, aren't there? So many. And they all hang out with the Democrats, and they all have illegal sexual proclivities, don't they? That's a fact. Yes, sir. Man, oh, Manischewitz. I am telling you. Yeah, it was a +1. She was Bill's date at his daughter's wedding. Maybe Jeffrey's, but now they're saying a billionaire. Well, all these, they're the party of the little guy. And even the people you never heard of at their wedding are billionaires. And they bring their date, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's the pimp for Jeffrey Epstein. And the New York Times doesn't think anything of it. CNN, fine with them. Oh, you see, CNN may be bought out. And they're freaking out. I've got that coming up, too. Freaking out, they think that, I'll explain. CNN may be bought, may be taken over, and they're afraid that he might be a conservative. Oh, no. What would we do then? One of my favorites. This was not actually at the Performing Arts Center in Chappaqua, conveniently located near Bill and Hillary's multi-million-dollar mansion in Chappaqua, but in a BBC interview about a week ago, maybe a little more than that, 10 days ago, Hillary Clinton doing a BBC interview, and they asked her about, well, your husband, Bill Clinton, was all over the world with Jeffrey Epstein, going to Africa, going to Europe, going to Asia, going all over. There are women in all of these places, underage women in all these places. So what is up with that? And listen to what Hillary says. Turns out Jeffrey Epstein was quite the humanitarian before he hanged himself, wink, wink, in the jail cell. And Hillary Clinton wants you to know that Jeffrey Epstein, with his money, and Bill Clinton saved millions and millions of lives.
It wasn't a hot tub on a plane. It was one of the stops they made to look at philanthropic and charitable work that my husband has done, saving literally millions of lives around the world. It turned out that was done long before there was any public awareness and certainly any conviction of any crime by Jeffrey Epstein. So it was a short period of time that was in pursuit of charitable philanthropic work.
Charitable philanthropic work. Millions of lives were saved thanks to Jeffrey Epstein. Why don't we ever hear about the good in Jeffrey Epstein? Come on, thank God Hillary is here to explain how great Jeffrey Epstein was.
Charitable work that my husband has done, saving literally millions of lives.
Literally, not figuratively, not hypothetically, not approximately, literally millions of lives. Jeffrey Epstein, because it wasn't Bill Clinton's money, it was Jeffrey Epstein's money. And they had to fly around the world together to Africa, Mogambo, to Asia, Phuket Beach, and spell Phuket Beach. And it's really, he was a philanthropic, charitable man who, and this was before there was, she said the word public, there was any public awareness of Jeffrey Epstein. That's a lie. He was famous for one thing, and it was the underage girls, and that's what Jeffrey Epstein was always famous for. So Hillary Clinton is lying. It was not before there was any public. No, it wasn't on the front page of the New York Times, although they all knew, and they winked and nodded too, because it was a Democrat Party circle fest in a hot tub. And when she talks about the hot tub, she's not just doing a James Brown impression there, but the hot tub, there's a picture of Bill Clinton in a hot tub, reclining, looking very relaxed, if you know what I mean, with some, let's say, very young female companionship. And so she was asked about it by the BBC, not by the American press, and about the photograph of Bill in the hot tub and Jeffrey Epstein photos. Well, that was before all of this was publicly known, wink, wink, right? Public awareness. And they were doing philanthropic and charitable work. Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton, where they literally saved millions of lives. Really, I think Jeffrey Epstein should be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. He has saved millions of lives.